My name is Andrew Jameson. I am the strawberry breeder for Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. My home base is in Kentville, Nova Scotia. So my areas of expertise are plant breeding and also resistance to diseases. And I've been working in plant breeding for over 30 years. Not only with strawberries, but also with some other small fruits such as raspberries and more recently blackberries. Our program historically has worked on root disease resistance. So many years ago, we were looking for resistance to red steel root rot. And we aren't really working on that particular disease anymore, and the disease has become not as important. The specific disease we're trying to breed resistance to is bacterial angular leaf spot disease, which is, as the name suggests, caused by a bacterium. I guess we started working on that not because it was a big problem in our area, but because it was a problem that when it did arise, there was no good control, and there really weren't any varieties that resisted that bacterium. It is a big problem in other areas, including Florida, where it's a really big problem. So we've been working for over a decade on developing resistance to that, and I think we're getting pretty close to introducing resistant varieties. There are a number of other diseases of interest that we don't do any screening for, but we just run our field trials in such a way that we don't have a high input of control. So as a breeder, I like to see a certain level of disease in the field, of leaf diseases, powdery mildew, etc. So then I can make sure I don't select those plants that are really susceptible, and I can move towards resistance over time. Our most recent varieties released in the last 3 years were Laurel, and that was followed by AAC Lila. And Laurel is a selection that was originally selected in 1993, so it's quite an old selection. It had been tested by growers, particularly in Nova Scotia, and it was found that it had very good flavor, and it was one of my favorite as well for flavor. Growers that market directly to customers, like Pick Your Own, they really liked this variety, and so they encouraged me to put a name on it and make sure that it was available in the long term. So that's why we introduced Laurel. It has a few other features. It is resistant to red steel root rot, and it also has, among the strawberry varieties, one of the highest tolerances to common root rot, or black root rot. So that's just an added feature of that variety. It might be one that growers, organic growers, might be interested in because of its root rot tolerance. The next variety, Lila, or AAC Lila, as it's called, like Laurel, is a mid-season variety, maybe a little early mid-season. It has the primary feature, one of the features of Lila is that it is very easy to pick. The fruit come off the plant very easily. You just have to pull them up and they'll break off. So the picking, and plus the plant architecture is quite open. So that would lead to a faster picking rate and hopefully lower picking costs. It has good fruit size and flavor, I think, so it's worth testing. Leroux Nursery in Quebec is the head licensee for that, and the information that I've been getting thus far from growers who have tested it has been very positive, so it's worth trying. For strawberry breeding in Canada, we used to have at least 3 programs across the country, and it's sort of been consolidated. So for Agriculture Canada, I lead that program out of Nova Scotia. And the challenge is going to be to make it nationally important. So linking up with partners right across the country to deliver a program that provides varieties for growers in all the different regions. And we're not quite sure how we're going to do that yet, because to do it fully will take a lot of money. Currently there is a consultation process that Agriculture Canada is undertaking with the grower industries across Canada, and I hope that all the associations and growers will participate in that, which will give us feedback in a number of ways. Feedback on the main traits that growers are interested in for future varieties, and also perhaps on mechanisms to commercialize those varieties, how best to do that. So that's one aspect of the future for us. We are looking at doing more work with day neutrals, because those have become very widely grown in the country, and we really depend on California bred varieties, and I think there's probably some traits that we could incorporate that would improve on those varieties, such as resistance to powdery mildew, and also perhaps a little more winter hardiness, so that the plants can come through the winter more routinely. And flavor, of course, is another part of that. I think probably the main way to get more people eating more strawberries is to have better tasting strawberries, so the experience is positive and always positive. So like, I guess every breeder, we claim that we're trying to improve the flavor, although it's a very difficult trait to improve, because unlike bananas, it's not just a single compound, it's a combination of many compounds. But certainly flavor and overall fruit quality is important. We're continuing to work with trying to improve the disease resistance of the plants, just so growers have less problems to solve, and breeding is one way to solve some of those disease and insect problems.